Tim, when Brady was suspended, we saw a lot of NFL fans get a lot of joy from it, and the Patriots basically getting the last laugh because they took that revenge tour all the way to the Super Bowl. How motivating was the fact that they had a lot of extra haters kind of tailing them in getting it through to the Super Bowl?
You know, it's a tricky thing. The Patriots are a franchise that prepares and prepares to win every week. Everybody does, but of course they just do it better than everybody else. The whole Goodell and Brady revenge tour is a thing that I think it's probably naive to say that their players played harder or prepared harder because of that. Now, they certainly prepared harder because Brady wasn't there for the first 4 games. And certainly the whole thing with Goodell and the possibility that he'll have to give a trophy to Brady and Kraft and Belichick in 2 weeks, or a week and a half, I should say. I think a lot of that really was played out by their fan base, but their fan base is in that stadium 10 times this year. So clearly the players know that it's going on. I think it was an organic presence around the team and around the franchise, and again, not practical to think that the players played harder because they want to stick it in Roger Goodell's ear. But the fan base was aware of it, and I think there was an emotional level that was present all year that hadn't been present around the franchise for a lot of years. And I think the players sense that, and I just think it's a mood that was in the room and in the stadium all year, and affected the franchise emotionally for every game.
Yeah, and Tim, that was the thing I took from your article. They haven't been in that position in so long. It's got to be fun to be, you have all the Super Bowls in the bank, and now all of a sudden you have a chance to go out there and be the underdog and play with a chip on your shoulder. How about Brady specifically, who seems to play with a chip on his shoulder since he's been in the league? You think he took this personally? I know you talked about the fans and the other players. Does Brady play with an extra chip on his shoulder after all this nonsense?
Well, he's certainly not going to tell us that. The one thing that Brady has done is he has taken the highest of high roads in terms of not saying anything about how this year might be different for him. And we're talking about a guy who prepares at the highest possible level at all times. And you're right, Sal, he does play with a chip on his shoulder. He played with a chip on his shoulder when he was a sophomore in high school because he was only the backup quarterback on his freshman team the year before. And obviously at Michigan, he played with a chip on his shoulder because he couldn't beat out Brian Griese when he was a sophomore. So this has been going on for a long time. And then, of course, not getting drafted until the 6th round. That, you've got a guy in Tom Brady who is a performer at the highest level, who prepares as if he is going to get cut tomorrow. Which is a real volatile combination and a real effective combination. So I think it's safe to assume that Brady put a lot of time into this season in a special way. And even if he hadn't, he's fresh because he had sat out the first 4 games. So, I mean, it provided a real organic and true benefit. So I just think it's something that's in the mix. And in terms of how Brady actually felt about it, I think, as I said I interviewed the governor of Massachusetts, Charlie Baker, for my story, and he said, when are we going to know exactly how TB felt about this? And I said, I think you find out when he writes his memoir when he's 60 years old.